The iconic Trials of Osiris fusion rifle is back in Destiny 2 with near perfect perk combinations for PvP and PvE. I'm LegoLaFlash, and this is the Burden of Guilt 2.0, the adaptive stasis fusion rifle that almost exclusively defined who I was in the Destiny community and brought the range stat to the forefront of the conversation for what stats you should look for on a fusion rifle. The new version of Burden had a lot to live up to, and after lucking out with nearly every role I wanted within the first weekend of Trials, I'm honestly pretty impressed. I didn't think anything was gonna make me drop my fusion rifles that had Discord in this ammo economy. I was wrong. I do have some digs to make on Burden of Guilt at the end, along with a few fusion comparisons, so stick around if you want to hear me lay in. But wow, do I have a lot of positives. I think they made the right move, loading it with classics like Perpetual Motion and High Impact Reserves, along with all the perks everyone always wanted to see on it. Under Pressure, Lone Wolf, Eye of the Storm, and even Closing Time. The uphill battle is that we've had a lot of really good fusions over the past year, specifically Afterlight, Gravitic Arrest, and Zealot's Reward. So let's look at how Burden of Guilt's old stat package compares. The old stats on Burden of Guilt are honestly still incredible. I expected to see some dips, but Burden of Guilt still has the highest range stat on any adaptive fusion rifle in the game. It has literally 10 more range than the last adaptive fusion, Afterlight. Stability and handling aren't the best, but they're higher than the average, and the aim assist stat is second only to outdated fusions incapable of hitting the ranges that Burden can. I would feel safe calling it the best aim assist stat package on an adaptive fusion rifle, given the new perks you can combine these stats with. So let's talk perks. Stats wise, we are solid. We're more than solid. If you can grab the right perks on paper, no other adaptive fusion rifle should compare to Burden of Guilt. Okay, let's do this. Under Pressure or Lone Wolf, Closing Time or High Impact Reserves, Controlled Burst or Chill Clip. The more I try out all these perks, the more I can confidently say Burden of Guilt is a very customizable fusion rifle. You should go for the perk combos that fit your personal playstyle or your loadout at that time. Let's do PvP first. I've never felt like I needed Under Pressure on Burden of Guilt. I always felt like more range and aim assist are what pushed the weapon to the high status it achieved over time, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't love to have it. The Under Pressure and High Impact Reserves roll I got felt really solid, very easy to use, and so it's not so simple as a flat Under Pressure or Lone Wolf recommendation. There's some nuance. Let's talk Lone Wolf for a moment. Some passive handling plus a passive +5 aim assist, which becomes +10 aim assist when 15 meters from your teammates. Coming from ridiculously easy fusions like Zealot's Reward with Under Pressure Closing Time made Burden of Guilt a little difficult to use my Lone Wolf Closing Time combo. I actually thought for a moment I was going to be in a plug one situation where I thought Lone Wolf would be the play, and over time I just didn't feel like I clicked with it, but I spent some time with my new Burden and I adjusted how I thought the fusion would work versus the way it actually did with Lone Wolf. Something just clicked once I started trusting the range and aim assist and I relearned Burden's recoil pattern. It feels naturally a little harder to use than all the new fusions we've been given. But then I started hitting those shots that take your breath away. Occasionally I'd hit one where I was like, no way, I won't hit that, and then it connects. Yeah, that's the kind of fusion I want to be playing the game with. So I'm coming in with a recommend for Lone Wolf, but that doesn't mean it's the only good thing though. I don't have two perfect rolls, but my gut says Lone Wolf is going to be for those players obsessed with aim assist or wanting that bit of snappy feel to their sights with it. Under Pressure will remain the golden standard for all ranges, any activity, you can't go wrong. The one thing I want to note here is that we don't have Alacrity as an origin trait for Trials of Osiris anymore, and Lone Wolf's aim assist does help inject some of that feeling back into the gun. Once I get an identical Under Pressure roll, I'll try to come back to confirm these thoughts. Perpetual Motion gives a lot of handling and the extra stability, and I think if you're wanting an updated version of the classic, this could be what you're looking for. But I don't want to overlook Eye of the Storm. Specifically, Eye of the Storm combined with Closing Time, we just don't get double accuracy perks very often on fusions. And I so happened to be able to try out this roll, and there were times where the stars would align and those ridiculously smooth shots would happen. Personally, I really dislike perks that I have to be weak for. I just feel like I die more than the perk is useful for me when I'm in those situations, but still a very, very good perk. The other big choice here is High Impact Reserves or Closing Time. The only nuance I'm going to give this one is if you never, ever challenge the range of your fusion, which some people don't. I watch clips of other YouTubers and streamers showcasing their best fusion clips, and it's so incredibly infrequent that they're outside the 10-meter range. I mean, usually it's like shotgun range, and if that's how you're using this, first off, just use a shotgun. But if you happen to frequent the range of 10 to 15 meters and never push past that, then yes, high impact reserves might help you with some kind of damage resistance or slight overshield or something. But man, those scenarios are so few and far between. The answer here is closing time. What are we talking about? More handling, more accuracy, and more range pretty much all the time. The big health change a while ago completely negated the need for high impact reserves on adaptive fusion rifles, unless you're running accelerated coils, but even that, we now have the weapon stat, which covers accelerated coils if you're even running, I think it's 120 weapon stat, which is below the minimum most people aim for in the Crucible. So yeah, high impact reserves is over, closing time is in. I mentioned nuance, but no, the nuance that exists between Lone Wolf and Under Pressure simply does not exist here in the last column. Also, the numbers from this sheet for Resil breaking points is still valid since I ran them all on 10 Resil after the big health change a while ago. Go check out the video titled PvP Update Fixes Fusion Rifles, and you can still reference those sheets. I'll link it below. Just keep in mind the weapon stat can now bump you up a few places. Okay, the PvE perks for Burden of Guilt are also really interesting. Envious Arsenal is definitely the standout, not only because it refills your ammo when you get shots off on other weapons, but because the enhanced version gives you a plus 20 ammo generation. This won't help you refill your special weapon much with the way ammo generation works. Big shout out to CoolGuy's video breaking down ammo generation, but it will generate more heavy ammo, which works great when you're using a perk like Crystalline Corpse Balloon to create giant crystals everywhere. So here's the point at which I want to reverse course on some ideals I've held about fusion rifles in PvE for a really long time. I've always felt fusions were good boss or mini boss weapons, not so much ad clearing weapons. With the new way ammo generation works though, you can get bricks really fast sometimes if you set it up right. So I started playing around with combos like Rhyme Stealer and Crystalline Corpse Balloon to create those crystals and blow them up for frost armor, and I kinda love it. You just start snowballing ads and it felt a lot more fun than simply using Control Burst. I got that roll too, Control Burst and Envious Arsenal, and it's great, no doubt. Will fit into great damage rotations, but I kinda like some of these other combos too. I feel kinda ridiculous because it doesn't seem optimal on paper, but like, what are we playing this game for but to have fun, right? So yeah, really enjoyed the Rhyme Stealer Corpse Bloom combo. But let's get optimal. Chill Clip is another classic you could pair with Envious Arsenal, and Burden is the fastest fusion that will freeze in 2 shots rather than Riptide's 3. Sorry Riptide fans. So I definitely want to keep a Chill Clip roll of the new Burden. But the perk that really has me fascinated for PvE is Aggregate Charge. Every unique debuff on an enemy puts a stack of aggregate charge buff on your weapon. It starts at 10% but goes up to 30%, 33% if enhanced. Now this only lasts a few seconds, but if you debuff with the right effect, think Unravel on Strand or Tether from Avoid Hunter, you can have that ×2 or ×3 if you're with a whole team last a very long time. I don't think this is as easy to use as Elemental Honing on Prismatic, and definitely not as simple as Control Burst, but it is another way to buff your weapon that could be the absolute best way for you to get the most damage depending on your setup, or even your team's setup. This aggregate charge depends on the debuff from the enemy, not what you personally applied to it. So in a boss damage phase, you could be at a permanent 33% buff, pair that with Envious Arsenal, and you're flying. That's the perks, so let's talk god rolls. I'm really excited to do this because tier 5 weapons means we get enhanced barrels and batteries. For my personal Burden of Guilt PvP god roll, I'm going to leave you with 2. I think I've already found one for myself with this Range Masterwork, Hammer Forge, Projection Fuse, Lone Wolf, and Closing Time roll. I'm getting an extra plus 12 range from Enhanced Hammer Forge, which the difference between that and picking Enhanced Full Bore is only plus 3 range. I think I can sacrifice that range in exchange for keeping 9 of my stability and some handling that Full Bore would have cost me. Enhanced Projection Fuse is also giving me plus 12 range, and between those perks, Enhanced Range Mod and Enhanced Closing Time, I'll have between 90 and 95 range at any given time on an adaptive fusion rifle. Yes, even with closing time special ammo buffs being cut in half, I will take whatever minimal range and accuracy it'll give me. No other perk except Keep Away is going to give you that range in the last column, and that's only available on Axial Lacuna. As for the Lone Wolf part, I do like that extra aim assist. It allows me to focus on that enhanced range mod rather than wishing I could put a targeting mod there. My other god roll would be the exact same thing, but with under pressure. Obviously, still an amazing roll. I don't have it yet with this combo, so I can't say for certain it'd be better or worse, but I do have the Lone Wolf roll, and while it took me a minute to adjust to, my goodness, this thing goes. I live for these moments of ridiculous range, and I'm not sure anything is going to be able to stand up to the speed of an adaptive fusion with near 100 range and the buffs from Lone Wolf or Under Pressure, really, but my experience has been with Lone Wolf. For those wondering, yes, you can use a charge time masterwork with no penalty, but the range stat is just too important in my opinion nowadays. If you're trying to go faster, you should just use Zealot's Reward at this point. If you're using Burden over Zealots, the reason is going to be range, not speed. And if you happen to get a drop where Accelerated Coils is your only good option in the battery column, that's okay. Just make sure you have at least 120 weapon stat, and I believe you'll be good. Don't quote me on that yet. I didn't do a spreadsheet or anything. This is kind of off the top of my head. For the Burden of Guilt PvE god roll, I really want like 3 of these things, which is ridiculous, but with multi-perk drops on tier 4 and tier 5 weapons, that's possible. I'll start Charge Time Masterwork, it's just free damage in PvE, this should always be your choice. Then I'll make the controversial choice of going with Enhanced Hammerforge still, because I really get annoyed when I get out of range with a fusion in PvE and that damage drops. It happens faster than you think, and I'm always surprised when people say you don't need range and to go handling. I think as long as you're not dropping your handling, you're good there. For the battery, I'll usually shoot for enhanced battery for a slight larger magazine size. That sets me up for any perk combo I choose next, even Chill Clip, which with enhanced battery will still activate down to 3 in the mag. Just don't go ionized or put another magazine mod on because you'll screw things up for Chill Clip. So yes, one god roll would be Chill Clip Envious Arsenal, but I also want Aggregate Charge Envious Arsenal like bad. It seems very good for actual boss encounters, especially if you're playing with a full fire team going at it. My fun roll still goes to Rhymestiller Crystalline Course Bloom. I just thought it was super fun. So, are we back? Can Burden of Guilt reclaim the title of #1 fusion rifle? I honestly don't know. Here's where I need to take a few shots at Burden. The absolute disappointment to not see the Discord perk here when we have the Crucible special ammo economy that we have. It's heartbreaking. This is one of my favorite weapons in all of Destiny 2, and Ambitious Assassin should have been Discord. Like, who's getting multi-kills with a fusion and wanting to overflow the mag on this thing? Afterlight, the previous adaptive fusion with Discord, is insane. Since my last video, and for a video I never had time to make, I have clip after clip after clip of 1v3s where I am decimating entire teams thanks to Discord's unlimited ammo and accuracy combined with successful warm-up in the last column of Afterlight. Using Afterlight seriously felt like I was living in the era where Likely Suspect was first introduced with successful warm-up and there was special ammo everywhere. So when I picked up Burden of Guilt 2.0 for the first time with an absolute god roll and wasn't immediately blown away, I was like, what? I'm going to give up unlimited special ammo and the potential of 1v3ing entire teams over and over again for this? And well, I might. That's the part that's so ridiculous. Once I got used to playing the game of the new ammo economy with the right armor mods and a primary that I could modify to get a high ammo generation stat, ammo was just not a problem. I returned to the fusion primary madman that I was before all these special ammo changes, and I could just count on my primary to clean up rather than lead an engagement, which I can't tell you the last time I was doing that. Burden of Guilt has put me back into full fusion rifle goblin mode, and I really don't think there's a higher endorsement than that. If I can carve out the time for another massive fusion rifle ranking video, it'll be interesting to see where these all land, because right now I'm really torn on what I want to use. I definitely put Burden over Pressurized Precision, but I really don't know where it'd land in terms of Afterlight and Zealot's Reward. 2 fusion rifles, I think, that are just on another level for completely different reasons. These videos come from me out of a love for Destiny 2 and a love for the community, really nothing else. I have a full-time job and family, and life has changed a lot recently. But what hasn't changed for me is my love for the game and the community, despite whatever drama is going on at any given moment. So thank you for the continued interaction and comments. Seriously, those are the things that keep me coming back, recording, and editing. So if you decide to stick around for the next one, I really, truly appreciate it. Until next time, GG.